By when are we going live?
Hello. We are live and back.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to round one of the GT3 British Championship 2023. This is the top split, the invite only, and you're joining us, say, at Brands Hatch at night. My name is Cammy Sturch, and I'm joined in the commentary booth with Stephen Bain. Stephen, say hi.
Hello. How's it going tonight?
Apologies, there was a little bit of a mix up on my end, and I didn't realise we had actually gone live because I didn't have the Twitch stream and I didn't see the intro video playing. So my apologies for that. But you're just joining us at the beginning of the 45-minute qualifying session. Normally, the three classes, AM, Silver, and Pro, would go out separately, but tonight it's a free-for-all, Stephen.
Yeah, it's just 45 minutes, so normally what we used to run would be an hour-long session and then a 30-minute qualifying, which would be split into each class, so you got 10 minutes each. Whereas this kind of format is a little bit more laid back. You get a little bit more time to fit in your lap and hopefully get a good one in.
Yeah, saying it'd be a good time as well to introduce some of the newer viewers to some of the drivers. We've got some veteran drivers here who don't need any real introduction, but there'll be a few new names out there as well. And so we're going to try and get everybody introduced. Everyone likes to be able to watch these back and see themselves on camera, see themselves on the stream, and see themselves being talked about in a positive light, not having an accident. As we're following Ben Brown at the moment, one of the veteran oNiD drivers, running around in a fantastic British touring car inspired Primera livery for his Nissan GTR, as he's going to be one of the sort of first handful of drivers to start a flying lap. We're looking around the 1 minute 22, 1 minute 23 mark, I think, Stephen, for what would be sort of an expected pole position time.
Yeah, we've got a few quick people in here. I think given it being dark and track temperatures at the moment is only 11 degrees, then yeah, you'll be in the 22s, 23 area. I think we'd be very, very lucky to get a 21. I know last night we did a race here as well. Those of you who saw the oNiD and SRA race that you commentated on as well.
I did indeed, the Transatlantic Cup.
And I think pole time in there it was a 21.4. No, 22.4.
I think it was a 22 thought. Yeah, we weren't as low as the 21s. It was very quick out there. Jonathan Seville and Chris Larson, they are sort of alien fast, and I'm surprised we haven't seen them sort of in the higher echelons of esports with like VCO and Le Mans Virtual, but no doubt one day we will see them sort of drawing audiences of the hundreds or maybe even thousands of viewers, because they've got what it takes to sort of compete with the best sim racers in the world like Max Verstappen and James Baldwin, I think. As we're just following Ben Brown exiting Clark Curve, he's going to get his first lap on the board here in the dark at Brands Hatch. He goes 15th fastest at the moment. Could just be a safe banker lap, but we'll see if he can improve. And say Ben Brown, 34 years old. And Steve, do you know what Ben does apart from his fantastic livery designs?
I don't actually. I can't remember from what he said. But
Now, I'm not sure what it means, but Ben Brown is a change management consultant.
so he manages lots of change. That's
Now, I don't know if that means change as in sort of making a change in your life or just telling you how to handle loose coins in your pocket.
he could be a kind of low-end banker, could he? With that,
Low-end anchor.
I hope he's
I
not
mean,
listening to this stream.
we're just following Quinten van Wingerden now, car number 5. Quite obvious from his name that he is from the Netherlands for MSL Racing, and looks like he is glued to the back of the Aston Martin there. Is that... I'm trying to work out who that is in front of him. That is... I'm not sure. The name disappears a bit quickly. He's gone off the track, though, at Sterling, so he's going to have to go around again to get a lap on the board as Dave Zalecki goes past under the bridge at Clearways. Van Wintergerden's going to have to try again. The Porsches were very competitive here last night, though. Did you notice that, Stephen?
Yeah, they're just a competitive car in general as well. There's a lot of the fast guys using it. I mean, at the moment we have, just flick up the leaderboard a little bit just to see, but as you can see, from 11th down to 15th is a little Porsche train there.
It certainly is. And again, no surprises. Jonathan Seville takes provisional pole at 123.0. Now, the track is optimum, but unlike yesterday, where we were driving in sort of late afternoon, evening sunset conditions, it is only 11 degrees Celsius, both the air and the track, 11 degrees Celsius. So it is chilly as Lindblom blast past Finney there through Sterling. He's 12th at the moment, 1.6 seconds off the pace, but no doubt we're going to see these Porsches work their way up the table. Revzik in a BMW, the BMWs were struggling yesterday, but is managed second place, and Dan Watts in another BMW is fourth. Lindblom improves slightly, goes up to 13th place, and then runs it very wide and decides to return to the garage. As we can see a Pulse Sim Sport car going out there. We follow Dave Zalecki now. Stephen, do you want to talk us around a lap of Brands Hatch?
Yeah, well, Dave's just jumped up a fair bit there, up in the 12th, so coming into Paddock Hill Bend, a very hard compression down the bottom of it, and then up to the hairpin at Druids, and we're going to run out of corner names soon, but coming down the hill into Graham Hill Bend, it's a tough one to keep on the track there on the entry, and very easy to run wide and get a track limit warning there as well.
I can help you with the corner names.
Then we take the next corner,
30s.
30s, onto the GP loop, and then a long straight down the hill
Down Pilgrim's Drop.
into a pretty fast right here as well. Dropped a couple gears into Hawthorne, and Dave's just run out wide there, so we're going to pick up. Let me do a quick change, and Martin Thorpe. So we just came round the quick corner, then the next right, and then up the hill into Sheen Curve, and then a hard left, which is tough to get right, this one as well.
It is, yeah, Sterling's, but it's nice where it sort of dips down on the left and you can tuck the car in, and then it's just the right-hander. Can you remember?
No.
Clark Curve.
Clark Curve. I'm good with the first three, and then it sort of goes away from there.
As long as you're doing the Indy circuit, you've got it covered.
Half of it covered.
So Martin Thorpe had a very competitive night yesterday. He's in the Aston Martin tonight. He's only in 33rd though. He ran as high as 5th position yesterday. Actually, I think he managed to get up to 3rd whilst some drivers had made their pit stops and he hadn't. So he had a great evening. A fantastic defensive drive as well. He was holding up a lot of the SRA drivers, the Americans, Canadians, and sole Brazilian. But at the moment, he's racing for TOTL Connexus Motorsports as he heads down Pilgrim's Drop again. So car number 920. I've got notes, but some drivers' numbers have changed from what it says on SimRacing.GP, so that's thrown me a curveball because I've got everyone's notes arranged by car number.
Yeah, that's not so handy. If they have changed, I would think most are the same. But we've got a little bit of a battle for the pole position. Seville is finishing off his lap, coming into the last corner, and currently 4 tenths up, which will put him 3.5 tenths clear of Jordan Watson, his teammate. And he does, he keeps it. So
Pulse. That is a commanding gap, isn't it?
Yeah, Pulse guys are pushing themselves again. Round. I don't know if I would like the Ferrari on this track, considering how many curbs you've got to cut on the towards the end of the lap.
Yeah, that would explain the lack of McLarens up there as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, top McLaren at the moment is 14th, Ortegren. coming round the GP loop. They're down on their lap at the minute actually, so it's not.
So in ACC, the McLaren is a car you have to avoid the curbs, but James Baldwin actually said recently that that's not true to life, and the McLaren can quite happily ride curbs. But he was losing lap time at Spa because he brought his sim racing, learnings to the real car and was avoiding all the curbs, and sort of his teammates were wondering, you know, you could probably gain a half a second if you attack the curbs a bit more.
Yeah, interesting. You would think. I know the handling model is sometimes a bit funny. I don't if you've seen any of the Go setups. The sliders are very unrealistic, shall we say? But um, just following Shahabi Abi, as he kept getting called last night. He's just jumped up to fifth. So a great lap by Shahabi there for Total Connexus Motorsports.
Yeah, it's not quite the Porsche domination we were thinking. It's BMW's doing very well from third through to fifth. Alex Shahabi, the Bristolian, 26 years old, races for TOTL and Connexus Motorsports, and he's got quite a few accomplishments on the board as well. He's a World Tour winner in Racing Club International's AM split. World Tour silver winner, World Bathurst 12-hour silver winner, oNiD BMW M2 support race champion, and then in brackets, he thinks, and say plenty of podiums and a few wins in the Sunday leagues with oNiD. So he's a driver with a lot of success behind him.
Yeah, it has stolen my race number, which that would be why I couldn't use it last night.
You
I'm
race
sure
with
that.
number 8.
Yeah, I do normally.
Does that have
But
any special significance for you?
yeah, no. So there was a time where everything just happened to be the eighth thing. Like I would have been picked eighth to do something like a presentation for school, and I finished eighth in a race at the time. So there was like a few things lined up. So I just thought, well, I'll just stick with eight then, and it's kind of been like that since. Have you got a number or
Yeah, I
anything?
typically run with number 5.
Any reason?
I think it's just because I liked watching Nigel Mansell racing when I was growing up, and I like the fact he made it, a red 5 rather than just a white 5, like, just a normal number like everybody else. And yeah, I think, and then Sebastian Vettel ran with number 5 as well, and I just always thought 5 looked pretty cool. So, and I suppose my surname begins with an S, and the 5 is like an S as well, and Red 5, Luke Skywalker. So I guess those sort of things. Oh, we got a
Oh,
slide there. Is that Miles Dixon?
yeah, I think so. That was
Getting
well
a
held
slide
though.
out Sheen Curve. It won't do his tyres or his lap time any good. Yeah, he's returned to the garage. Pulse Simsport driver. I think he's the captain of this Pulse Simsport team,
Ah,
and he's 8th at the moment. Here's a replay. You can just see he sort of goes for a bit of a rally drift out of Sheen Curve, keeps it on the grass and keeps it clear of everyone else going past. Nicely done then, Miles, as he returns to the pits. Now, Miles, is he in the UK? Because he does race under a Jamaican flag.
um, not sure actually. I think, given that he wakes up for a few races with oNiD, I think he might be overseas.
Uh,
But I wouldn't be sure. Zach Finney's just closing out a quick lap here. He's half a second up, which should jump him up to around 16th, 17th position if he holds it round the last corner. He's racing in one of Ben's liveries.
yeah, Ben does some fantastic liveries, and if you're a privateer driver with no team and you don't have the Photoshop skills to put together a livery, then just speak to Ben Racing, Ben B22R, Ben Brown, and he can sort you out with a fantastic, professionally crafted livery.
Yeah, I
As
think
we talking of great liveries, and just sort of going on a bit of a joyride on the grass there.
it's just slowing down so we can get a better look at it.
Nice NASCAR inspired
But,
intro.
but yeah, I think that was one that Ben did as well. I might be wrong, but I think Ben did that NASCAR one for Andy.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Ben does some fantastic work, and say quite a lot of his handiwork is shown off in oNiD. Talking of handy, though, we're following Henry Handy, who's 23rd at the moment in the Honda NSX Remnant Racing. Let's see if he can improve. He exits Clark Curve, puts the foot down down the grid, across the line. Is he going to improve from 23rd? He does not. Will he go for another lap? He's missed the apex slightly, so that won't help him on his next lap. And there's a bit of traffic ahead as well as he comes round Druids. 28 minutes left on the clock.
We'll jump on with Shahabi and we'll go on board here. He's currently about 2.5 tenths up. Might move him up a place, but as he's sitting in 4th at the moment anyway, not many places he can move up still, although that is not going to help.
No, he's just pushed a little bit too hard out of Sheen Curve, and they're going to have to be careful of that through the race, because Brands Hatch can be a bit of a race of attrition. 40 minutes into an hour race, usually when you see some of the less experienced drivers tend to put a foot wrong, drop a wheel on the grass, and once you've got one wheel on the grass, because of the nature of the circuit, that every straight seems to curve away from you anyway, it can be so hard to recover it, and it's easy to lose several places. As we're following Jonathan Earl at the moment, Kachow, number 95. I'm sure that's why he chose that number.
Yeah, he's just stuck it up in 3rd, with a great lap. Although I think he's still valid on this one, but he's a little bit down. I know he's been moaning about the recent changes with the Porsche. They was slightly changed. I think the lift to drag ratio, they called it.
So I
They
heard
had
that
changed.
the Porsche had a positive bop change, so it became the car to have.
I don't. Well, from the feedback that I got from John, it definitely wasn't. They're saying it's a little bit more understeery mid corner, than the kind of pointy corner, but we didn't gain any pace with it on the straights. But clearly, it's not hampered it that much, given 1st, 3rd, and 5th are all Porsches.
I mean, some drivers like a car to be less pointy. Everybody's got their own driving style, and some might prefer a slight hint of understeer rather than trying to counter oversteer. As we're following on Sebastian Lathoff now, he is in 14th at the moment. I think he's the leader of the AM class. He's running in the Ferrari 488. How is he doing? Do you have his splits on screen at the moment, Stephen?
Yeah, he's in the pits. He was slightly down in his lap, unfortunately. We do have a change in pole. Jordan Watson has taken pole back. Not by much. It's by 0.038 of a second.
Barely 400ths of a second. I mean, that's less time than it takes to blink. That is incredibly close. That would be if you could overlay their ghosts on top of each other, they would, only be a handful of inches between them as they cross the line. Following Marquez now, another one of the Pulse Sim Sports. There is a lot of Pulse Sim Sport drivers. They're not the sort of team that only fields 2 drivers. I think they've got about 5 or 6 tonight.
Yeah, they've got quite a few. And they're all. I know they've got their rookies team and they've got their kind of main team, but even the rookies are pretty quick. I don't know how they can get away with calling them rookies, but we'll leave that to them.
Heike van der Veen in the chat, not happy with being put in silver. He says, "Why did Johnny put me in silver? Clearly, I don't belong there."
I've seen Heike in the past races that he's been doing. He's been getting a lot quicker. We had a really good battle in the Monday league that I do, over on the Jimmy Broadbent Discord. Oh, and was that a speedy pit entry.
Yeah, he won't want to do that.
No. We have Adam Gardner for Remnant Racing. He was up 3/10 when I clicked onto him, but he has lost that. Not by much. He's still up on his lap time, but only just now. So a couple of corners to sort that and see if he can move up a place, as he's right behind his teammate at the moment.
So he's running car number 1, but the information I was given was that he was running car number 37.
Oh, okay.
So again, I've got to start flicking through my notes to find, okay, not he's number 1 now, so now I've got to remember what number he was supposed to be and find him. But I like his accomplishments. His accomplishments are turning up, completing a clean lap, consecutive laps, and believe it or not, doing that in more than one race. That's a low bar to set.
Yeah.
It's an accomplishment if I just do the bare minimum.
That's yeah. I mean, some people struggle with that, but
But everybody has their own personal victories, and not everybody out there is going to have gold medals and everything. So it's good that everyone's got their own personal victories and that they can take away with them at the end of each race. And so we're just going to follow on John Cheel now, Remnant Racing, Henry Handy's teammate, number 55.
yeah, he's just jumped up and split the two other teammates. So I think we've got 23, 24, and 25th. They're all Remnant Racing cars now.
Yeah, they're a solid midfield team. They'll be looking to improve this season. I remember Henry Handy. They used to run Remnant Racing in more of a color scheme that matched the Mazda 787B. So it's like
Yes.
orange and green.
Yeah, although they've still got that same livery design, you're right, they've kind of taken their own inspiration on the colours and with the blue and the what would be bright yellow if it was daytime.
Yeah, it really is quite a luminous yellow. So we've got yellow flags, but they're going to keep cropping up as people pull off to the side of the track and return to garage. So
I did
unlike
notice, sorry about that, but, I did notice we had one yellow flag, which was two oNiD cars, and they were at the same point on the track, so don't want to speculate what happened there.
I mean, Brands Hatch isn't the largest circuit, and there are a lot of cars out on the track, so it's inevitable that people are going to get in each other's way. But um, you can't overtake someone if they're on a flying lap because they've got every right to be there and to complete their qualifying lap. It's not fair on them to have somebody dive up the inside because ultimately that just spoils both laps. It's up to you to sort of back off and create the space in front.
Yeah, definitely. You want to try and get a clean lap in, and it is unfortunate if you do catch someone up on the end of your lap. With the new format of this, we do have quite a mixed range of pace in it. So we've got, at the moment, we have Jordan Watson in pole on a 1:22.6, and we have Graham Jackson. He's the bottom to set a time on a 26.9. So quite the split in sort of pace that we've got.
Yeah, it's quite a spread indeed. The Transatlantic Cup, I think we had the top 15 or so separated by 1 second. And it's not too dissimilar here. I mean, Chris Martin in 14th, 1 second off the pace. And Heike van der Veen in 35th place, only just over 2.5 seconds off. So it's still quite a close field. We've got Keitel in 34th, and Ben Brown is in the pits at the moment. He was one of the first to get a lap time on the board, and at the time he was in the mid pack, but he is 33rd at the moment, so not having a good time in that Nissan GTR as John Cheel running in 20th at the moment.
Yeah, he did just jump up a few places there. He was about 6/10 up on his lap, but here we see that Daniel Rhodes. He's right on the back of Gary Dawson, who are right next to each other in the standings as well. But it looks like he's lost a little bit of time there, just being behind, and that is the unfortunate thing. But we've still got 20 minutes of qualifying to go. That's what would we make that, about 12 laps that these guys could still get in if they wanted?
20. Yes, I'd say you're about accurate there. If they sort of continuously drove round, but these guys will be driving on as light a fuel tanks as they can. They'll only be carrying fuel for 2 or 3 laps and an out lap, and then it'll be returned to garage, refuel, tinker with the setup, and then go back out with a very light load, because you don't want to carry any extra weight more than's necessary. You just want to try and shave off every tenth of a second you can, and the lighter the car, the more it will be able to react to sort of quick inputs. As Thibaut Gurton goes across the line, did he just improve? He's in 30th at the moment in the Aston Martin.
Yeah, he just jumped up from about 37th up to 30th, because I got a bit confused when I clicked his name and it disappeared. But I didn't realise he was just away across the line, so yeah, great lap there by Thibaut.
I think
And
what you can do as well is you can click the dots on the minimap and it will take you to that driver.
I can, but I'm using ACC Race Control, so I can see the times as well. And I'm not very good with aim with the mouse, so. But we'll go up to Dan Watts. He is currently about 2.5 tenths up, halfway through his lap.
Yeah, that could get him onto the third. If he can improve a little bit more, he could find his way into the second row alongside Tagurd Revsik. So he's just at the top of the circuit at the moment, just rounding Westfield and Dingledale through Sheen, and then it'll be the left-hander at Stirling's, which is, I think, an underrated corner. I really love how the tarmac just dips away to the left and you can tuck the car in, really attack that curb. Make sure you don't carry too much curb on the exit or you'll be clipping the grass. And then it's about third gear for Clark curve, and you just want to get on the power as soon as possible but not have the car wash out to the left. Some like to keep it tight to the right, some move over to the left in anticipation for Paddock Hill Bend, and he is 6th fastest at the moment, 0.7 off the pace. I think Jonathan Seville has improved whilst out there. 1:22.4 is the time for everybody to beat.
Yeah, so interestingly, the track is still fast. It's not optimum yet. I don't know, with it being so cold and at night, if it will go optimum. It might go optimum in the last kind of couple minutes. But
that's a fantastic time for a fast circuit rather than an optimum circuit.
Yeah. Looking just now, there is only two drivers that are improving.
I will say, at the moment, I think Chris Larson will be slightly disappointed that he's in 8th at the moment, because I think he has the pace to hold on to Jonathan Seville, but at the moment he's more than 3/4 of a second off the pace. As we're just following Chris Larson now, I see follow him for a flying lap. Number 2, oNiD Racing, the Honda NSX. So it comes up to Druids. He's got a car that's on an invalidated or an out lap at the moment, so hopefully they'll make way for him. So that's car number 49. So that'll be Javier Marquez, the cybersecurity engineer. He does make way for Chris Larson. So Chris Larson, one of our, I think it's Chris Larson and Ralph Vest are the only Americans we've got tonight. Chris Larson, go on. Do you want to guess what state he's from?
I would like to say quite far west.
What if I
but
say
I don't know.
Yeehaw?
Oh, okay. So he's a Texan.
That's it. Yeah, he's from Texas.
Not west at all then.
Yeah, it's quite out west. It's certainly not on the east coast. No, Florida is your east coast, and Texas is well west of that. As Chris, not happy with that lap, pulls off to the side and returns to the garage. Yeah, he's going to be making a few more setup changes. And we're going to join the front-running silver driver now, Petr Jelinek. I like that he made a point in his profile that he lives in a village with a brewery.
Did he say
Which makes
what
me
kind of brewery?
I'm assuming just like good old Czech beer, but it makes me think that he goes there a lot. It was the way it was the only thing he mentioned. I'm in a village in the Czech Republic, and there's a brewery.
Well, it either means that there's not an awful lot in the. Oh, Sven just hit the wall there as well.
Oh
Um,
yeah, nasty. Yeah.
he's not going to enjoy this, but let's see if we can have a look at what happened.
Did he run wide at Sheen? That has been a common error. So, oh no, this is before Sheen. Oh no, we are coming up to Sheen now, and just gets it a little out of shape. Takes too much grass. No, I don't
Oh,
think we are at Sheen. No, I think that was Westfield and Dingledale. I think it was hard to tell in the dark. But yeah, not going well for Ben tonight. He's down in 35th place. But say Brands Hatch, if you can keep it consistent and keep it on the track, there are many opportunities to make up places, as people will make mistakes. As we're going to follow Dave Zalecki around now. He is the front-running AM driver, currently in 15th, 1.1 off the pole position, provisional pole time at the moment. As
yeah,
I
the
have
classes are quite they're quite interlapped here, are they? As well, I don't know if it's obviously we do evaluation races and it's based off of times. Everyone kind of gets graded based off the two evaluation races, but given the evaluations were at Imola in the daytime, maybe some drivers struggling a little bit with the cold, and the night time they're not as strong, or their drivers are stronger. I wonder if that's why we're getting to see a little bit of a mix-up in the standings.
Yeah, and Brands Hatch is one of those love or hate circuits, I think. I think a lot of drivers, 9 out of 10 of us, will confess our love for Imola. It is a classic circuit. Whereas Brands Hatch, apart from Pilgrim's Drop and the straight out of Stirlings and into clearways, you're constantly turning. You know, the Brabham Straight, the start finish line, it's not straight. You're having to turn right, so you have no place to sort of relax for a moment. And any lapse in concentration, you clip the grass and go out. So, I mean, I grew up local to Brands Hatch, so I love Brands Hatch. I'm biased, but what about you, Stephen?
Yeah, it's one of the few tracks that I've actually been round. I was down for a track day in my dad's uncle's Caterham R400 Superlight, so that was pretty quick round here. But I didn't realise how rough the main straight actually was. You
The
don't,
track surface,
yeah,
was it?
yeah, there was quite a lot of bumps. I mean, it wasn't a Caterham, so it's going to be set up pretty stiff. But
Yeah, that's yeah.
yeah, I was surprised, and I know there was well, Vest and Larson, and I think a couple of other Americans. They might not be in this race; they might be in one of the other splits. They were complaining about the British track surfaces being a little bit rough, especially Oulton Park when we get to that round.
It's challenging. It's challenging, isn't it? I went round Brands Hatch in the road going version of the M4 here, and I thought it was a perfectly comfortable ride down the straight. I didn't notice any bumps, but then it is a sort of big GT cruiser, isn't it?
It is, but M4's pretty track orientated as well. I think it's but it will have
It is.
definitely been a little bit more comfortable than a Caterham.
Oh yeah, but in the road version, it's so quiet. It wasn't until I got the car up to 100 miles an hour and my instructor was saying, "Are you going to change gear?" And I had to say, "No, I need the revs to go high so I can hear the damn thing." Because I'm so used to, we don't look down at our revs, do we? We listen to the car. So because the car was so smooth and quiet, I was sort of changing gear when the revs are much higher than you would in a road car where you change gear at 3,000 revs.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you do have flashing lights on the steering wheel and things when you're playing ACC, and if we go into the interior, you can see the dashboards lighting up and flashing to give you an indication. But I would really struggle to believe any racing driver that says that is what they can look at and not the sound of the car.
I mean, I know in Formula One, sometimes they'll. Michael Schumacher in '94, he had an earpiece that would beep when it got to the optimum time to change gear. But that was more, he couldn't hear the car properly with his helmet, his earplugs, and then obviously it's just such a screaming sound. You're deafened long before it gets to the optimum point to change gear.
Yeah, that's there's a little bit, and you don't really want to deafen yourself, but
No, it's a good rule for life, isn't it?
yeah,
You don't
uh,
really want to deafen yourself.
not usually. Looking at the time board here, there is. I don't know if people have just kind of got to a peak now, but there's very little drivers that are improving on their laps.
I like
Uh,
to think somebody's watching thinking that's such a novel idea. I was going to deafen myself, but maybe I won't.
One
You know
driver
what?
who is improving, Mav Gardner, um, just a tenth and a half, but would jump him up probably 2 places.
Yeah, it's quite high down there, isn't it? Only sort of a couple hundredths of a second could jump him up into the high 20s. He goes across the line, goes 30 seconds. So good effort there from Mav Gardner. And the Aston Martin is a very comfortable car to drive, but it doesn't seem to be the car to have tonight. How many Aston Martins are in the top 10 actually?
In the top
Oh,
10,
Derby come round.
we only have one in the top 10, which is Per Jelinek.
Petty Yellowlegs doing a. Oh, he's just clipped the grass. I thought I saw him about to fling it into the barrier there, but well, I saw some sparks fly up as well. But Petty Yellowleg still 10th, still leading the silver class as he takes a lot of curve and into gravel out of Paddock Hill Bend up Hailwoods Hill as he rounds Druid and down Graham Hill and into Graham Hill Bend. Maybe I'm just showing off about the corner names now.
I've just jumped into the Twitch chat, and apparently when I noticed the track was fast and said it might go to optimum, John Earls actually said it's went down from optimum.
Well, the temperature has dropped by 1 degree Celsius.
So yeah, drivers are going to be struggling to match their pace when they were on the optimum track. So we might not see too many more movers now.
No, I think unless somebody's had a rotten lap where they've not really, been able to get a clean lap together, apart from that, I don't think anybody's going to improve. Petty Jelenek's got a good 4 places on his next silver competitor, or Otegren, in 14th. And Dave Zalecki's got a couple places between himself and Lathoff in their 15th and 18th, respectively. Dave Zalecki's in the pits at the moment. Petty Jelinek still pounding round. He doesn't improve. He's a good few seconds off the pace there. He made a mistake that lap. As we're going to follow Ollie Knowles round in the Porsche 991 for a bit.
Yeah, just try to give everyone a bit of stream time as well. This is a bit of a different Racing Stronger livery. I've not seen this one before, with the blue back and the black front end of it, but it looks pretty cool, to be honest. The blue Racing Stronger livery looks amazing already.
It does. It wouldn't surprise me if it was another Ben Brown creation.
Yeah, I don't know if it is.
Would
It
you like to
looks.
know what Ollie Knowles does?
Yeah, go for it.
He is a watch trader.
Oh, nice. So
So I like to think he's just going around pubs with a brown trench coat, lifting it up, going, You know, what do you buy, stranger?
Want to buy a watch?
Want to buy a watch? I see. He sort of just pulls his coat out, and there's like 80 of them just hanging on the inner lining of his coat.
Aye, all Rolexes.
That's it. He's from Bracknell in Berkshire.
Have you got any? Pick a driver. Any of the drivers, if you've got an interesting fact about them, we'll jump on board with them if they are not in the pits.
Oh, let's have a look. Let's go through. Let's go through. I think interesting. Their occupations are quite interesting because it's quite a rainbow of occupations out there, and it just shows how widespread the love of racing is. Such as number 29, Dan Rhodes. Is he racing with us tonight? He is. He's in 40th at the moment. He's from Ohio, over in the United States of America, and he's a criminal defense attorney.
Oh, nice.
Which always makes me wonder, what if you get a client who obviously did it,
I think.
and you have to defend them?
So I think I've had I can't remember who I had the conversation with, but I'm sure I've had that conversation with someone else, and they said you've just got to believe, and it's your job to, or not believe, but it's your job to just put anything in the way of being found guilty, even if you believe that they are.
It just reminds me of the Mitchell and Webb sketch where he comes out of the court and goes, "Yes, I got that guy off, even though he absolutely did that brutal murder."
Yeah, it'd be an interesting job for sure. We've got Earl's asking for his fact.
What's that, sorry?
John Earl's also asking for his fact in chat. He says Ben's asking if the Earl of Ipswich is his occupation.
Let's find out. We have to find out what number.
95.
John Earl. Sorry, 25?
95.
Oh, 90. Oh, of course, yeah, he's Kachow.
Ka-chow.
Kachow. Kachu. So, Jonathan Earl, from the trendiest part of the UK, Essex. Now, John Earl, what is he driving tonight? He is driving. I'm trying to find. He's driving a Porsche.
Correct, yeah.
But he's actually a Renault service advisor.
So not the Earl of Ipswich.
No, he works in a Renault garage in Essex, I assume. And he is the Grey Wolf A to Z champion, the Red Line Wednesday Pro champion. He reached the semi-finals of the Next Level Racing Cup. He beat Peter Brett and Sam Holloway in an open lobby, and he once battled with George Boothby, aka UKOG.
Nice.
That last bit meant very little to me.
I know the Peter Brett and Sam. I know they're his friends and are in the Fry Guys motorsport team as well. So I think there might be a little bit of banter, but I know Sam and Peter Brett are very fast.
Ben22 Racing has just said, liar. And I always like to imagine the Anakin Skywalker meme when somebody just shouts liar.
Ben saying, I once out-wallified Miles Dixon in a touring car event.
It's very impressive that you out-wallified them. Ben is a big wally. He can out-wally anybody. So, less than a minute to go, and we're following Sigurd Revsik.
Yeah, still no one really improving. There's a couple people maybe improving at the start of the lap, but dropping the time later on. Obviously the track deteriorating slightly and just kind of turning more into a bit of a practice session for the end of it, which is a shame. I know some people would have liked to get a lap in. I think Chris Larson, as you said earlier, I think he would have been up there and maybe didn't get the best of laps, and some people maybe got a great lap early on and it's helped them a lot.
Yeah, maybe in the second half of the qualifying, people just, as they realised the track pace wasn't there, they might have started running race setups just to prepare for the upcoming event, just because you're running around with a lot more fuel There's no refueling in the pits tonight, but there is a mandatory pit stop for changing tyres. And of course, drivers may pick up penalties as well, so that could come into play as the checkered flag falls, and there's only six cars left out on track. And how is Sigurd Revsik doing at the moment?
Yeah, he's almost a second down on his lap time, so the track has got a lot slower. And it's just not tendering to these guys on the qualifying laps, which a little bit of an anticlimax to qualifying, but it should make the race interesting as well, given some people might be slightly out of place.
Wilbert Van Ussenen in the chat says the start of his qualifying was bad. Now he's got a lot of overtaking to do. Well, just keep it consistent, keep it clean, and you'll be surprised how many people just fall off the track in front of you. As that brings qualifying to a close. Jonathan Seville is your pole sitter for tonight with his teammate John Watson alongside him in the Ferrari. Third is Sigurd Revsik, and fourth, another Pulse Sim Sport driver, Miles Dixon. Marcus Hagel is on the third row alongside Dan Watts. And have we corrected? We have corrected Dan Watts' name. He hasn't, well, he's corrected it. It hasn't got 3 T's anymore. Jonathan Earl is 7th with Chris Larson down in 8th. A disappointing session for Chris Larson, and as well for Alex Shahabi, only managing 9th place in his BMW. Pasi Jangnek had a fantastic session. He is on pole for silver, that's 10th overall, alongside Javier Marquez in the AMG in 11th. Dan Hearn is 12th in the Porsche, with Martin Thorpe in 13th. That is the top running Aston Martin in 13th. Ortegren is 14th, and I know I'm mispronouncing that, and Will Dendy did tell me how to pronounce your name, but that was a while ago, and it's other information has shoved that out. Dave Zalecki is the leader of the AM class. He's 15th, with Chris Martin and High in 16th and 17th behind him. Then it's 18th, Lathoff and Finney in 19th in the McLaren. Lindblom is 20th, with Quinten van Wingerden in 21st. John Cheel is 22nd, with Henry Handy in 23rd in the NSX. Ollie Knowles is 24th, alongside Derek Stack in 25th. Adam Gardner is 26th, despite his car number 1. And Ryan Davies is 27th in the 888 BMW. Wilbert Van Ussenen is 28th, alongside Matt Wilmot, 29th, lucky 7, with Hearn and Girton in 30th and 31st, respectively, in their Aston Martin V8 Vantages. Mav Gardner is 32nd, with Ralph Vest in 33rd. Alex Parkin, 34th, with Ben Brown in 35th. Then it's Keitel and Van der Veen, Lewin and Seema, Rhodes, Hurst, and the back row of the grid is Dawson and Graham Dogjuice Jackson. I'm just going to have to take a sip of tea if you'd like to cover for a moment, Stephen.
Yeah, looking at the front of the grid, we have the top 6 cars are from 2 teams, 4 Pulse cars and 2 RTO cars as well. So a pretty I wonder if there's going to be any team orders or anything in go. We saw a lot of it last night in the oNiD versus SRA, but as you would expect from having 19 other teammates, there would be a little bit of team orders on the go. But I wonder if there's going to be anything in here. John Earl, the first of the non 2 top team cars, he's done pretty well to get up into 7th, but I know he'll be looking for more in the race as well, as the guys start off on their full formation lap. Bit of a slide from Johnny Seville to warm the tyres up. So, full formation lap. It's going to be hard for the guys to warm their tyres up, given that the track temperature is 11 degrees, but it is back to optimum again.
Revsik will need to get his headlights on. The game will be telling him that pretty quick, I should think. And whilst we've got the warm-up lap, as they take it easy, be a good time just to thank our sponsors, for whom this would not be possible. Of course, our partner and the sim race powered by SimRacing.GP course, we're sponsored by Sim Stuff for all your sim racing parts and accessories. Kdan Computers for the best computer that you may need for sim racing. With pick up the latest graphics card for your ultra wide screen for your sim rig. You go to Kdan Computers for that. B22R. So if you need a livery for your team, B22R is the place to go. That's car number 22, Ben Brown, who's racing with us tonight. And Go for the Gap, who provide illustrative graphic prints, designs, graphic designs, logos, anything like that. That is Go for the Gap, founded by myself. And so you'll find some of the logos of these companies on some of the cars tonight. And of course, RacingStronger.com, raising awareness for mental health through the positive benefits of sim racing and the social interactions with that. Sort of healthy competition, bringing out the best in people.
Yeah, have you had any interesting projects lately, Cammy, for Go for the Gap?
Yeah, it's really sort of kicked off, especially since Autosport actually. I've been able to work on. So if I talk about another racing game, if you've all heard of Trackmania,
Yep, I have.
I've been doing some graphic illustrative work for Trackmania because when you make a team in Trackmania, you have to sort of pick from pre-made assets to how your car will look and how your stadium will look and how your sort of the graphic user interface will look. So I've been doing that and 750 Motor Club. I've worked with, yeah, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, but also aware that the cars are just coming around Clark Curve now. So, and Sigurd has got his headlights on, so that's a plus. So
It was Miles Dixon. I don't know if he was having issues the other night, but his headlights were off the other night as well. But he's
maybe.
got them
Well,
on now, so it should be good.
so, is the green flag's about to drop for the first race of the British GT 2023 Championship here at Brands Hatch for the night race, round one. We're just getting ready to go, and it's green. We're away. Jonathan Seville leads the pack down into Paddock Hill Bend, hard on the brakes into turn one, making sure to keep it on the track, and just watching down the field. It looks like most, if not all, are making their way through Paddock Hill Bend cleanly. The leaders now rounding Druids, and it looks like it's a pretty clean getaway from everyone, Stephen.
Yeah, there's no yellow flags that I can see. Oh, one's just popped up down the back end. Um, but yeah, pretty clean getaway. We'll should be able to have a look back at those what happened, but good
I
getaway
think,
from Seville.
I think that's Alex Parkin at the back.
You are correct, yeah. Alex Parkin and Martin Thorpe has fallen down the field as well. He's had an off on the plunge, the straight.
Yeah, the downhill from Druids, sort of Graham Hill straight. That is a real shame. Two drivers with a lot of speed, and
Ah,
another driver off there as well. That was I saw number 920 of the track. That's Martin Thorpe. So
oh,
what's
this
going on here?
this is getting a bit busy here. Lots of cars kind of off the track, slowing down. But everyone is back going again. No one's lost too much time. There's a couple cars just slightly off the back, but hopefully they'll be able to kind of make it back up again. But yeah, you're always going to get that. I mean, we had 43 starters tonight. Um, it's always going to get busy in the first lap on a tight British track.
Yeah, unlike the American tracks, British circuits are not super wide. This circuit was, originally built in the 1950s, and cars have gotten wider since then. As Ben Brown trying to cut under Ollie Knowles there, and he's going to be up the inside for Druids. Ollie Knowles, is he going to try and hang it around the outside? No, he's not able to. He tucks back in behind. He's lost that 28th position. So Ben Brown already made up some places and taken advantage of a little bit of the chaos, as we're following Jordan Watson now. Sorry, I called him John Watson on the grid lineup. Jordan Watson's absolutely glued to the back of his teammate, and he's just got to make sure there's no internet lag spikes or anything that will cause him to plunge into the back of his teammate. But it is a 1-2 for the Pulse Simsport boys at the moment, and Sigurd Revsik is hanging on there in third place, and they are pulling a gap on Miles Dixon.
Yeah, we've also got a bit of a close battle here for 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th. John Earl leading this pack. But Larson, as we said, probably a little bit disappointed it was qualifying. He'll look to get up, but he could be struggling with that NSX in the cold conditions. It's not the easiest of cars, as he's getting pressured by Shahabi quite a lot here. I wonder if Shahabi's going to be able to get the cutback.
Yeah, it looks like he had that in mind, but Chris Larson going defensive, using sort of the Will Dendy tactic of rather than rounding the corner, just sort of diving straight to the apex. As Hagel's going to have a go at Watts now, and he's come off worse, but also Watts has been put into a spin. Oh, that was very unfortunate. I think, have they collected anybody else? I think that's Marcus Hagel getting going again. Dan Watts, rather the innocent party in that. He's dropped a dozen places there. Very unfortunate. What do you think of that, Stephen?
Yeah, it's kind of 2 into 1 a little bit. Just misjudge as
It's
are
3 into
they?
1.
Yeah, 3 into 1 also does not work. Did anyone? I think they. Oh, they didn't all make it through. Shahabi's dropped some places there as well, but John are all getting absolutely swamped by cars at the moment.
Yeah, he's got
As
to be careful. He can't be too defensive. And he's off again. And his teammate sails by.
yeah, Lindblom sailed by. I know he's just been kind of started driving for the Fry Guys Motorsport team as of kind of a couple months ago. But Lindblom, he came from our amateur series, and it's just got quicker and quicker and quicker as times went on. But I wonder if he's going to let John back past here. Looks, yeah. I'm disappointed in Lindblom there. Should have battled a little bit. Make John's life hard. So we go down the field a little bit and see how the rest are getting on. We've got Ralph Fest up behind Ben Brown. They are getting pretty close together.
Well, oh, I think Ben Brown's recently taken that position because Ben made his way past Matt Gardner for 28th and now he's up to 27th. So I've got a feeling Best has just lost out there to Ben Brown.
And back up to here, we've got Yellowknight's going around the outside of Lindblom into the fast right at the end of the back straight.
That is
So
a
bit of a
bold
touch.
maneuver and it's not come off. Has he hit the wall?
I think he kept out of the wall, but Lindblom now side by side with Hagel as well.
This is very aggressive driving. We're only 5 minutes in. The pit window is now open, but we're only 5 minutes in and they're racing as if it's the last lap.
Yeah, it's well, that's what we all were here for, isn't it? To try and race and have a bit of a battle with everyone else. So,
As Dan Hyde would say, maniacs.
we jump on with Ortogren and Finney, the battle of them McLarens here. They are getting close down the straight, but it looks like Finney's managed to get a little bit away from him. But we've got a bit of a train in this area. Chris Martin at the start bit in the Audi. And then we've got all the way down to 14th within a second of each other.
Now, this is the danger at British circuits when you've got a train and they all bunch up and bundle up with each other and they start going 2-3 wide into very tight, narrow corners. It's where it can all start to go wrong for people who are caught out by that, especially if you're on the outside and sort of get flung into the barrier.
So, tactics-wise, if you were in this race, obviously the pit window's open, but you do have tyres to take. Would you, if you've kind of dropped down the field a little bit, like John Earl, like Shahabi, Hagel, would you try and pit early and then stick the remaining 50 minutes out on one set of tyres? Or would you stay out in the pack a little bit, maybe losing time, and then pit at a more kind of optimum point to get tyres halfway each, as Dave Solecki is had an off.
He has.
Let's see if we can see what happened. He's
Down Pilgrim's Drop. He's just carried some grass and that's not worked out well. The iRacing grass trick doesn't work here, Dave. That's gonna punish you. Oh, sorry, that's Clearways. As he comes in to take his mandatory pit stop and no doubt repair some damage. And in response to your question, I'd be driving around trying to look at the mini-map to see, sort of trying to guess where there's a gap and where I might come out. And if everyone's bunched in one part of the circuit, such as between Druids and Pilgrim's Drop, between the top of the circuit and Clark Curve, there's only 2 or 3 cars. So I'd be trying to do some quick maths whilst driving, thinking I might come out there if I pit.
Yeah, it's one thing that sim racing you don't really get that is if you're in real racing, you've got someone in your ear telling you when to pit and working all these things out. But when you're sim racing and you're in your living room or spare room or garage, you don't have your pal sitting next to you saying, right, if you do another couple quick laps, then you'll get in front of John Smith, and then you'll have clear air. You don't get that sort of help when you're sim racing. You have to do it all yourself on the fly.
Yeah, and I think that makes for a very purist experience. It's all down to the driver's ability to multitask and work that out on the fly rather than a computer doing it for him. Petty Jelinek, they've made their way past. I'm just trying to see who that was that they've just overtaken and whether that was a driver who was a lap down. That's Ollie Knowles. So yeah, Ollie Knowles not fighting for position there as Lindblom goes wide, very wide at Druids. He's going to lose a bunch of time to Petty Jelinek. So that is the battle for 15th and 16th place. And we're going to follow on this train now with Matt High. He's chasing Chris Martin still, but he's got Zach Finney bearing down on him as they make their way down Pilgrim's Drop up towards Hawthorns. And it's starting to settle down. Gaps are starting to appear, and they're not going 3 wide into corners anymore, Steve.
No, it's very bunchy though, I would have said. There's a lot of clusters of cars, like now we're jumping on with Jill Wilmot, Andy Hearn and Van Wingerden, which I've definitely pronounced wrong. And it seems to be there's a clump of cars, then a big gap, then a clump of cars, then a big gap. So the battles are still, I still don't know where to click, put it that way.
And of course, Matt Wilmot, he doesn't use a wheel, he uses an Xbox controller.
As you can see just now, which I know you'll hate me for.
But he's doing a great job in 19th position at the moment. And I think that is second in class, and he's got the leader of the AM class right in front of him, so he's on for a good result tonight if he can keep up this consistent pace. As now Hearn's going to look up the inside. Is he going to let it go? No, he closes that door firmly, and Van Vingarden has a thought there about going around the outside of Hearn, around the outside of Druids, but hey, you're a better driver than me if you can pull that off.
Yeah, and obviously you're talking about Wilmot using a pad to race on. I recently had to send my wheel away for warranty work and started using a pad for a little bit to see how it was. There is no way I could race at the pace that Matt does while I was using a controller. I really struggled with it.
It's an insane job with the controller, the fine motor skills that you need to make this, what's quite a large input on a wheel has to be the movement of a couple millimeters on an analog stick. As Matt High, and he's still fending off Finney, and he's trying to attack Chris Martin, and Chris Martin, he's really starting to lose touch with the cars ahead now. He's having to drive a bit more defensively as High takes a tighter line, but that could mean Finney could get sort of the in and under, but no, he's still going defensive slightly up into Druids. But yeah, you can see it's a train of 5 cars, and it looks like Ortegren is about to join at the back of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars getting close together, as I say, with this bunch. The leaders, they're still, Johnny Seville's still ahead of Jordan Watson, but they're sitting about half a second apart. Jordan Watson got the fastest lap at the moment with a 1:23.2, which is pretty quick. He's a tenth quicker than anyone else. But last laps they're about the same.
Qualifying pace, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah, and that could be with the optimum track, as Matt High...
What? Wow, a real diving manoeuvre, and that's opened the door for Finney to get up the inside of Chris Martin, and Chris Martin's being a bit aggressive there, and I thought he made contact with the car ahead, but that looks like Matt High and Finney have been spun round out of Sheen Curve. Now, I thought Chris Finney hit the back of Matt High, but that seems not to be the case. And tricky rejoin there. But yeah, what do you think of that, Stephen? If we can get a replay.
Yeah, I'll just see if I can try get a replay just now of that. It'll give me 2 seconds to look, but yeah, there was a lot happening there. There was a touch, and then John Earls had nowhere to go and been rear-ended by Shahabi as well.
Innocent party in that. So I think what's happened there is Finney's been on the inside at Dingle Dell, and Chris Martin's not left him enough space, sort of turned the cross on him, and they've made some light contact. And yeah, as you said, there were innocents collected up in that. So Chris Martin is running in 13th now, with Zach Finney just ahead of him. And Matt High, who they had been fighting with, is quite off in the distance now in 8th place.
Yeah, it looks got a little bit of side-by-side with Watson Lindblom as well, going into the fast right. It's not really somewhere that you want to go side-by-side round. I think I tried last night on the opening lap and definitely lost out from it. But they are still battling, still going at it at the moment. Although we have just seen a change in position, which I'll see if I can get a replay of just now. Van Oostenden got past Andy Hearn. So it looks like Andy's run slightly wide onto the grass. WVO has managed to get down the inside and take the place comfortably.
Yeah, very neat overtake there. Not too much hard work. It was taking candy away from a baby there, as Van Vingarden is really chasing down Matt Wilmot now. They're in separate classes, so whether they change position will not affect their point score at the end of the race. But they're running 17th and 18th at the moment. As very late on the brakes there. I thought Van Vingarden was about to go into the back of Wilmot's BMW there. He had to take a little bit of a evading action.
Probably two of the best braking cars, these BMW and the Porsche. And the Porsche I know is probably the best on the brakes, but the M4 is really, really good as well. So kind of neutralises a little bit, especially when the Porsche is slower in a straight line. It's going to be very hard for Van Wingerden to overtake.
Yeah, great view on board Van Vingarden at the moment. Through into Hawthorns. It's quite a fast, but it's still a relatively tight corner despite the speed you carry through it. And again, at Westfield here, you can only really make an overtake if somebody's made a mistake. Otherwise, as we've seen, it gets very tight very quickly. As what has happened to Matt Wilmot? He's run wide at Sheen Curve and gifted the place. He's just gifted it to Van Vingarden, and Hearn wants to look at that as well. But this is the trouble with playing on a controller. It's easier to make those mistakes. I'm not sort of trying to take anything away from Wilmot. He's been doing a fantastic job, but very unfortunate. And that is Brands Hatch. It is easy to make those mistakes, and if you can just keep it consistent, then you'll pick up those places.
Yeah, it's jump back into with the two leaders there. Look to be getting close, but I know that they'll be in a chat together with each other. Well, I say it's close.
Yep, they're only a quarter of a second from each other, aren't they? Although I can't see Jonathan Seville's car.
No,
he's on the map.
Oh, there he is.
No, go back to the other camera angle. Oh, there he is.
Very strange. Very strange.
So yeah, they're just running 1-2 and sort of a very comfortable, and it doesn't look like they're planning to fight each other at all, but this could change a little bit as they approach the bulk of laps traffic. At the moment, they will just be encountering one or two backmarkers who have made their pit stops early. But at some point, sort of another 10 laps, they could start to get to the bulk of the sort of faster midfield rather than just say the stragglers. Miles Dixon running in 5th at the moment, very close to the back of Chris Larson, who has worked his way up from 8th on the grid to 4th. So qualifying wasn't the happiest occasion for Chris Larson, but the race is going better. But he is 7 seconds off the back of Sigurd Revsik.
Yeah, it's two drivers that definitely will be fighting against each other, unlike Seville and Watson. But there'll be, I know Miles, he was meant to be racing last night, but there was some game difficulties, he didn't manage to get in. It would have been good to see where he finished in battle with Larson, but yeah, Larson will be wanting to catch up on the back of Refsic. But jumping into the Twitch chat, Prismatic Motorsports, they've said, who turned out the lights? Do you not want to
Welcome.
start it with a night race?
I think it's a great option. I hope we see more night races and more wet races. It really does just throw an element of unpredictability into proceedings. I say that Jonathan Seville's still leading, and that's a, that's a bit Schumacher-esque. Is it? Yep, he's leading again. As Graham Dogjuice Jackson trying to make a move on. He's just lost the place, I think, to Adam Gardner. But yeah, so he's just lost that position, it seems.
Yeah, it looks like Gardner is pulling away as well. He's the pace, so they are currently the last, I think, that haven't pitted.
You are correct, yeah. And Dan Watts is the leader of those who have pitted. Oh no, Hearn in 33rd has not pitted. Oh no, he's in the pits now. He's 2 laps down though.
A little bit of a close battle here as well. Sebastian Leithoff on the back of Lowen. So, and looks like Hurst is joining in this battle as they have just touched as well.
That was a violent bit of contact, wasn't it? Let's have another look at that.
Yeah,
That was very unexpected. It's not somewhere typically you see someone running into the back of someone. You know they're going to brake. It's the first corner, but he just absolutely misjudges his braking zone and just plows into the back of Lowen. That's ruined Lowen's race of no fault of his own. That's,
yeah,
looks like he got it going again.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of damage to that diffuser though. That's going to lose him some downforce, as you could see. Oh, what is going on here?
So we've got Dawson and Jordan Watson. What? So this is this the leaders being caught by a backmarker, and then Dawson's an unsafe rejoin there. He's tried to move in the middle of the circuit. Watson's having to reverse. That's absolutely spoiled his track. Then another Pulse Sim Sport car has hit them. This is absolutely disastrous for Pulse Sim Sport.
So John Seville, he's managed to get through it, but we'll just have a look back at that replay and see what happened. That's obviously after it's happened.
Is that as far back as you can go?
There's one other I'll have a look at in a second. This one. So the two.
So he's going to try and follow Seville through, isn't he? And he's he's tried to follow Seville through, closed the door a bit early on the GTR, and I don't think the GTR expected the door to be closed on him mid-apex, so I can't wholly blame that on. I'm just trying to work out who that backmarker was in the Nissan GTR.
That was Gary Dawson. In that
running similar colours, is Gary Dawson a Pulse Sim Sport driver?
No, the livery he's got on is actually quite cool. It's like a comic book theme.
Oh yeah, that's right. I just saw the pink.
Yeah, it's a really cool livery. But I know there'll be one driver who doesn't really want to have a look at that anymore. But yeah, tough one to judge. Not really sure. We'll leave it up to stewards to have a look at that one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, my 2 cents, I don't blame Dawson too much on that. He did get out the way and he had nowhere else to go, and unfortunately it was just misjudged. As Jordan Watson now, he is down in 8th position and he is right on the back. Is that High? He's right on the back of High. He's got the pace to make these places back up, but has he got the patience to... Whoa, they go three wide for a moment.
And he's been spun again.
More contact.
And there's cars off everywhere again, so it's rejoin nicely here.
Is it alright to get a replay of that? I looked away for a moment just to
So it
check a
looked.
note.
I will get a replay in a second, but it looked like Watson running into the back of high, and then the concertina effect of the touches then meant that he then
Oh,
got
yeah.
knocked again as well, so and sent the three of them off. But I'm not sure where. I think that was Chittle. I'm not sure where he was going, if he was involved in something else, but he also had a little bit of a trip through the gravel. But yeah, it's really unfolded for Jordan Watson in the last couple of laps.
It has, yeah. I remember commentating, he was having a rough race. I remember at Indianapolis once, and he's got the skill. Maybe just needs a little bit more patience when he's trying to work his way back up the field. He's a great driver, but it was unprepared for somebody to maybe break a bit earlier than he was anticipating. He's used to being behind Jonathan Seville, who would, inevitably go faster and break later than Matt High. Matt High's managed to keep that sixth position, but Chris Larson's been promoted to second place. Although I've got a feeling Sigurd Revzik has made a pit stop. Yes, he's down in 14th at the moment, the leader of those who have pitted. As we're following Daniel Hearn, he's chasing Javier Marquez for the last podium position. As they come across the line to start lap 18. That last lap, 126 flat. The track is no longer optimum. It's down to fast and 10 degrees rather than 11. So I think Jordan Watson's fastest lap might be there to stay.
Yeah, I think so. We've also got a car looks like trying to unlap themselves. It's Dave Solecki, I think, behind in the Porsche. He's obviously not had the best of races because I'm struggling to see his name on the leaderboard. He's in 28th, but he's right up behind. Although I think I've made a mistake. It might actually be D-Stack, not Dave Solecki.
Cobra 167 is asking what are the pit stop rules. So Cobra, there is one mandatory pit stop which drivers have to take in the, I think it's a 45-minute or 50-minute pit window. They don't have to take fuel, but they do have to take tyres. Zach Finney stopped on the racetrack and returned to pits from 11th position.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he had an off or... Yeah, he's had a problem. It must be a hardware issue or something, but... Yeah, he's
pulled off safely to the side of the track. I suppose he could have gone onto the grass, but he did pull over and he's returned to garage. So that could be the end of Zach Finney's race if he's got a hardware or a wheel problem. That's very unfortunate.
Yeah, like in real racing, in real life racing, you have car mechanical issues. You can often have simware issues as well, and we've got John Earl and that is Alex Shahabi fighting in the background. John Earl managing to get past Shahabi there, as Van Wingarden is off the track and has managed to join back on without any issues, I think, but lost a lot of places there. I think he was in 21st and he's now dropped to 26th.
Lost a lot of places. And especially there's blue flags being waved and everybody's out of order at the moment. I don't mean that in the British sense of you're out of order, mate, but everybody is in mixed-up positions on different laps, and some of them have pitted and some of them have not pitted. So some of these are overtakes for position, and some of them are not.
Yeah, so John Watson's come back out. He's in 19th after pitting and obviously the various issues. He's currently... How far behind Refsick is he? 3-6 in... Probably about 30 seconds behind. But look at this battle.
Yeah, John Earl nearly going up the back of that Audi. He's got to be very careful as they round Paddock Hill bends. Up the hill now. Is he going to try and get a move on Alex Shahabi? He thinks about it, but yeah, some of the drivers just need to cool down a little bit and say they've got half an hour left for this race to go. And if you're running in the top half, you don't want to throw it away now with a half-hearted overtake attempt through. Oh, and he's going up the inside now at
Whoa.
30s. That was a very clean move. It looked like the door was opened right up for him.
Yeah, Matt will be honking his way past, I'm sure. But yeah, I know Matt, sometimes he knows that the quicker guys, there's not much point in fighting them. He'll know John Earl's a lot quicker than himself, so he might be thinking, play the long game, let John pass, I'll battle with the people around my kind of area, and not lose too much time.
Yeah, that's a mature way of looking at it. Plus, if you've got a fast car behind you, and is there much point in defending a position if you're, 23rd? Is that a place you're going to defend with your life? As we're going through a replay now, what's happened here, Stephen?
Van Wingard, I just spotted the yellow flag. It looks like he's just run a bit wide and got a swapper. Has he kept out the barrier? Did manage to keep out the barrier, and very good to stop it before the apex to not rejoin at the apex. So
Yeah, some great car control there. He's very unfortunate. He's lost more places because of that. Dan Watts is up to 16th place. Is that
it,
Jordan Watson he's got behind it? No, that's
it's Graham Jackson he's got behind, so he's overtaken them. Graham Jackson, obviously not pitted yet, is a bit higher than he should be, given that he's not pitted. So these guys will be kind of working their way past him, going for a bit of a longer strategy. As I just saw Matt High dropping down the board, but that's because he has pitted.
so. Fry Guys driver making his scheduled pit stop. Marcus Hagel, he has pitted already for Pulse Sim Sport. He is in 14th place at the moment, and he's got a bit of open track ahead of him. The next car on the track from here up ahead is his teammate, the leader. So he's a lap down at the moment, given the gap to the leader, plus the fact he's pitted and the leader has not. This is who we've got here. We've got John Cheel, Alex Jahabi, and Jonathan Earl. A three-way battle for 20th place at the moment.
Jahabi got a good run. Yeah, really good run out the last corner down the Paddock Hill Bend. Should get the job done here, I would have thought. Late braking, and John Earl almost thinking, I'm going to take that little gap as well, but I think it would have been a little bit stupid to try and dive up the inside that from that far back. Although, can he go around the outside?
He's holding the outside line. Ooh, he's just taking a bit too much grass there and compromised his exit.
It would have been a tough one as he's on the grass again. And it's interestingly, he was quite wide there. I wonder if we'll see any drive-throughs pop up before the evening's out. So we're about halfway through the race. You can go off the track 3 times. The 4th time that you go off the track and gain time, you will get a drive-through penalty. I know this from experience. Yeah, I wonder if we'll see any.
I think he's had a horrendous crash. He's just said in the chat, yay for horrendous crashes. And he's in the pits. So I think he's had a race finishing crash.
Shall we have a look and see if I can?
Oh, John Earl goes up the inside of John Cheel there. But yeah, I don't know how long ago that was.
See if this picks it up. He's oh, that's a bad one.
Oh, and he's just, yeah, what has he hit there? He's just...
There's a bit of barrier that sticks out.
Yeah.
So he's come out and clipped that, but...
race leader, Jonathan Seville, is pitting now. Or was that him leaving the pits?
He is in the pits, he is just leaving, so he is going to come out. So he's back on track. Refsick is... Or Chris Larson would be he was in 2nd. But Chris Larson is only just coming across the line now, so yeah, Johnny Seville got a massive lead now.
It looks like it's all in a day's work for Jonathan Seville. He did this lights to flag yesterday, and it looks like he's going to do exactly the same today as Chris Larson, just being held up a little bit by teammate Dan Rhodes, but he's through at Druids, and he's going to have to set off after Jonathan Seville. Here's Jonathan Earl, Fry Guys. He's running 19th at the moment. Ka-chow, number 95. He's now chasing Henry Handy in the NSX, and he's getting closer and closer.
Yeah, he's making his way back up through. Obviously got the rhythm back in again. Tires up to temperature and making moves. Try to chase Shahabi and keep up with Shahabi through. But I just wonder how far up they'll manage to get, given that
Yeah,
it's so split out now.
let's just follow this. Let's see when Jonathan Earls is not going up the inside at turn 1. Is he going to be able to do it at Druids? He's quite close to the back of Handy now. I don't think he is close enough. It would be quite a lunge. He has a little look. There's some slower traffic ahead there. I'm not sure who that is yet. I think it was an Audi R8. But I don't think that's Chris Martin. It could be Van Ooselen. Who would be it? No, I don't think it's Van Ooselen. A little bit of a mystery at the moment, but yeah, they're closing on that Audi pretty quickly. Blue flags are out, so is the Audi going to move over on Pilgrim's Drop, or are they going to have to make the overtake around the corners? They're going to have to do it through the corners. Now this could give Jonathan Earl the opportunity he needs. He's closing right up on Henry Handy. He's going to go up the inside. It's very tight round here. Henry Handy gives him space, and Jonathan Earl pushes his way through very cleanly, very aggressive overtaking manoeuvre, say, at Westfield. Very nicely done.
Yeah, it was a pretty good move, and that's one more place that he's got through, and the charge is back on to get up.
It wasn't an Audi, it was Lowen. And Earl flashing his lights, that's probably to say, thank you for holding up Henry Handy. It made that overtake much easier.
Yeah, so the blue flags rule that we run at oNiD is that we have that the faster car must do the overtake safely, but the slower car should allow the move to happen. It's not like F1 where you dive out the way, as Matt Wilmot is getting very close to the back of Ralph Vestia and Van Ooselen in tow as well. But yeah, it's not like F1 where you have to dive out the way as soon as you see kind of 3 blue flags. You can stay, you can hold the race in line if you want, but you shouldn't really impede the other driver either. It makes for tracks like obviously the S's at Suzuka, really difficult place to kind of pull off the line and let another car through, and probably would cause a crash should that happen. So that's why we put that rule in place. It follows the standard GT rules and just means that the overtakes are done a lot kind of safer and on straights more than often.
Yeah, say down a straight, I. Oh, and Jordan Watson's picked up a drive-through penalty. He's plunging down the order now, as I think he's serving that penalty now. That must have just been a track limits thing.
Yeah, because he'd been through the pits, so it can't have been for speeding in the pits, so it must have been track limits trying to push and back up. But
Going from bad to worse for Jordan Watson as Van Ooselen going to make a move on Wilmot into Paddock Hill Bend. Great aerial view there from the chopper. Move done, but Wilmot's coming back at him round the outside, and he's got a nose ahead. Is he going to be able to make it stick round the outside of Druids? He's going to try on the dirty line. He's holding it. He's going to have the inside line into Graham Hill Bend now. And what a fantastic bit of defending this is. They're still too wide as they go through Graham up towards Surtees, but Van Ooselen has got the job done. It took him 3 corners to do it, but some fantastic driving side by side. And that has given, who was that ahead of them? That's given Ralph Vest some breathing space.
yeah, remember we were talking about Matt being on a controller? I'm pretty sure he's lying to us.
Oh, Chris might very close to the back of Dog Juice Jackson, who Dog Juice, I think, is he the only driver not to have pitted now?
I will check that for you.
He's got 18 minutes left.
Is the only driver not to pit, yep. So most people have pitted. Some have pitted twice. In the case of obviously Dave Zalecki saying with that crash that we saw, and a few others that have been involved in incidents. But yeah, Dog Juice kind of holding it out, getting up the leaderboard. Obviously with that, and we'll be dropping down a little bit now, I would have thought.
Yeah, I'd say I would imagine so. we're back with Quinten van Wingeren. He's getting plenty of on-screen time today. He's constantly in the battles. Number 5, he's behind Wilmot, and Wilmot's going to have to be defending again as they're lapping SEMA in the Skechers R8. Or sorry, is that the Rogo R8? So blue flags are being waved, but it doesn't look like Wilmot got a great drive out of 30. So is he going to be a bit vulnerable down towards Hawthorns? No attack from Vingerdon, but it's coming. You can sense it's coming, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. It must be tough for as we've got Seville the leader coming through as well, so that's going to split them up for a bit.
Nicely done though from Van Veerden to let Seville through.
It's always tough when you're battling and you're in a battle and you've got to let the leader come through, but one person lets them through. You know the car in front's going to have to as well, so you've just got to do the honourable thing. As Mav Gardner is off.
Oh dear, what has happened to there? So
See
Mav
if we
Gardner.
can catch what's happened. So we've not caught from that. I will see if I can find it in the replays. Looks like it might have been just himself.
Oh, there's a lot of damage to that V8 Vantage. So he is. Oh, here we go. So has he just?
He's clipped the same barrier that Dave did as well. But yeah, so easy to lose it when you just touch the edge of the grass.
Yeah, that is not a healthy car. He's struggling to get that back.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a. He's not far away from the pits. He's got kind of 3 corners, but yeah, that's going to be a tough one to get back to the pits, I think.
Yeah, the car's barely moving. He's done a lot of damage to the front of that car, and he dares not get back on the tarmac. He's just trying to get round on the grass. We're joining Thibaut Gurton, number 88, in 26, and he's coming under attack there from, is that Dan Rhodes? No, Dixon, just making a lap on him.
Yeah, he was catching up to the back of Ryan Davies just in front in the BMW, but has obviously dropped off a little bit with letting Dixon through. But Ryan's going to have to do that in a second anyway, so should close the gap. You can kind of win or lose with where you let people through. If you let them through on the straight, then generally you lose the least time. Sometimes if it's kind of in a corner, they exit the corner, then you lose a little bit more time. So Girton's now right on the back of Davies again, and looks to be trying to set up a bit of a late apex, get down Paddock Hill Bend, and then take a dive into the corner that I've forgotten the name of. And
he scared Davies off his line though at Druids, hasn't he?
He has, and he's going to try hold it around the outside here, which great room from both of them. Still on the outside, into coming into the corner onto the GP loop, and will probably have to give up his position here and tuck back in again for the straight.
Yeah, some great driving there from Thibaut Gurton, 34 years old, from the Netherlands. He's an official for local government, and it's regarding geographical data.
Oh, so you'll know all the bumps.
There's not many bumps in the Netherlands. It's a very flat country, isn't it? A lot of it's beneath sea level.
I didn't know that. Didn't know beneath sea level. Learn something new every day.
Not by much, but yeah, they sort of rely heavily on their sea defences because it's a very low-lying land. That's why there's so many windmills.
Lythoff is right on the back of Ollie Knowles here. In fact, he's alongside Ollie Knowles.
Is he brave to? Oh, he's going to try it. He's going to try it around the outside. He's sort of trying to force Ollie Knowles tight. He's going to try and get the old switcheroo uphill to Druids now, but looks like Ollie Knowles is holding on to that 33rd place. Mav Gardner has made it back to the pits. So he's 4 laps down, still getting that work repaired. Dave Zalecki is out of the pits after his horrendous crash. And yeah, he said in the chat because Dave hit the same sort of barrier, didn't he? He said had to return to garage completely undrivable. And,
That's a good, as John Earl has a drive-through as well now, so that'll be for track limits.
Very unfortunate. Jordan Watson, though, is fighting with Chris Martin for 13th at the moment. A far cry as they make a little bit of contact there. Chris Martin holding the inside line through Druids. Yeah, Jordan Watson way back on where he wants to be and where he could have been. But Chris Martin has every right to defend this position. They are fighting for position for 13th, but the door's been opened and Jordan Watson takes advantage. I don't think there was contact there. Did Chris Martin just miss his braking point?
I think he just went a little bit wide, tried to brake a little bit later. Obviously, he wanted to take a little bit of a late apex into that corner anyway, but the kind of pressure of the car behind maybe got to him, missed his braking point a little bit, and has had to give up the position, unfortunately. So the next target for Jordan Watson is going to be Daniel Lindblom.
Oh, we've got a yellow flag at turn 1. Car number 9 was off. So that's Lathop.
He is Lathop. And it's been contact with Ollie Knowles. And that's an awkward place to get going again, is it?
Sorry?
Awkward place to get going, being stuck on the outside, but he's managed to.
Yeah, he's just having to let faster cars go by there. Let's try to see. That's got Gardner. I think that's Adam Gardner who's just gone past. As Chris Martin's now closed back up on the back of Jordan Watson. Is he fancying having that 13th position back? Jonathan L has not served his drive-through yet. And the pit window will close in 10 minutes, but I think everybody has got their mandatory pit stop out of the way now. 15 minutes left of this race here at Brands Hatch, round 1 of the British GT 2023 Championship.
So, interestingly, me and Jonathan Earl, we have a bit of a bet going at the minute, which is just a £5 bet. But on Monday Night Leagues, whoever gets the least drive-throughs is going to get the £5. So, I don't know if this is different tactics and thinking I'm going to get them out the way on the Sunday, be okay for the Monday, keep my money, or if this is just practicing for tomorrow night and it'll be quids in for me.
He's lining up a move. He's trying to make a move on John Cheel, who's holding on to 21st. Matt Wilmot leading the AM class, and John Cheel right behind him, second in the AM class. But of course, Van Vingerden is in silver, so it won't affect those two if he goes past. But if they have to start driving, and Wilmot's off the track. He quickly gathers it back up, but he's going to be very vulnerable to Van Vingerden into clearways. He's going to hold the inside line, make Vingerden work for this. I think he's got him covered off just about, but Van Vingerden could get a good run out of Clark Curve and down the start finish straight. Again, Matt Wilmot holding the inside line, just keeping to the slightly defensive, but yeah, Van Vingerden isn't able to throw it down the inside and is going to have to sit behind. Wilmot going defensive again, as you can see. Vingerden's going to fling it round the outside, but Wilmot's a bit too quick and is able to get the car ahead. This is a great battle between these two. It's for 20th place.
Yeah, I've just seen Jordan Watson and Daniel Lindblom. They've just changed positions as well. Not sure if we'll manage to get a replay, but I'll have a go at it. Might have missed it. As Lindblom's run slightly wide, is Jordan Watson going to get the move done into here? Is he going to get a better run down onto the straight? It looks like he maybe got a better run. I think this replay is going to cut off just before it finishes. But it looked to be that he got a better run down the straight and managed to take the move into the fast right.
Yeah, so they just lapping Dog Juice Jackson there. Here's Van Vingerden. He's still not yet got past Wilmot, and he's probably feeling he's being held up a bit by Wilmot now, as Wilbert Van Oosenen is pulling away from these three, increasing that gap. Van Vingerden would like that 19th position, as Wilmot, I thought he clipped the grass there. Here's Adam Gardner. He's running 27th. He's got Thibaut Gerten in front of him, the Netherlands government official.
Yeah, he's just been slowly catching up.
Ooh,
That's not going to be catching up any, so he's and had to back off there. I think that's Revsik that just passed.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that's not the position. Marcus Hagel now going by.
So it kind of stunts the his kind of charge up there. Obviously, having to let these guys past after making a bit of a mistake. As Daniel Lindblom is yellow flagged. Let's see what happened to him. That looks like he's maybe lost it. Coming out the second to last corner. Touched the grass on the outside. Oh no! He's.
Is there contact?
It looked like there could have been contact there.
No, it wasn't Jackson. A different Audi R8 that made contact.
Let's see if we get a different view of that from the helicam and just see, is it one of these?
Oh, we just sort of got. I think the car ahead had slowed down to let them lap him, and then it sort of caused a bit of a pile up as the Aston Martin had slowed down, and he didn't have anywhere to go, did he?
No, just unfortunate. Just trying to think who we haven't seen yet. John Earl's closing up in the back of Wingerton, but he's right in the back of Wilmot still. And John, after his drive-through, is going to want to clear these guys, and I think we'll have the pace to clear these guys as well.
How's Derek Stack doing? So I'm just trying to think of drivers maybe we've not featured so much this evening.
Yeah, it looks, just wait and see if John's going to get the move done on Matt here as well, as they're going too wide. On the back straight, the Porsche isn't going to have the legs here, he's going to have to tuck back in. Don't know if Matt will think I'm going to let you past, or if you'll went, well, I've let you pass twice already, you can do it yourself this time.
What you don't want is somebody taking you out during their attempts to get past.
Very true, but we don't want to see that anyway. Then that's why we have a stewarding panel. If anything does happen, these guys can report the incident, and it'll get looked at by our panel. I think we've got got about 5 or 6 members on it now, and it'll kind of be unbiasedly judged on what happened, and points will be dished out. If that does
they
happen.
are sim racers as well, the stewards, aren't they?
Yes, they all are. Varying levels of units in themselves. There is quite a lot of times where some of the student panels are also featured in some of the collisions, but they don't weigh in on them. So.
Oh, having a look up the inside of Wilmot. Wilmot's just been constantly on the defence during this race, hasn't he? Because he's lost touch now with Vingerton. Vingerton's pulling out a little lead. Jonathan Earl having a little sniff up the inside. Wilmot's having none of it, but is Earl going to have the legs in that Porsche to get him down the straight? Wilmot keeps it right over to the right-hand side, keeps it defensive. That's going to be a slightly tighter line. Jonathan Earl's going to try and force the issue around the outside. Wilmot's just about giving him enough racing room. Now through Dingle Dell, into Westfield. Yeah, I mean, it would have been you don't often see somebody get round the outside at Westfield, Dingledale and Sheen Curve, do you?
No, that was great moving, great racing from both of them as well. No touches, no door bangs, wing mirrors all intact. Yeah, really good racing. And so you were asking about D-Stack. He is currently in 17th. He's about 6 seconds off the back of Henry Handy. And last lap was a 1:26.0, so about a second slower than his best lap.
Yeah, he's quite comfortable out there on his own. He's got, he's got Van Oosenen behind him, but not so close that, he's pressurising him. He's having a good race at the moment, Derek Stack. Jordan Watson's back up to 11th, so some good progress there from Jordan Watson, and I assume Jonathan Seville is still our race leader.
He is, and he's currently 20 seconds ahead of Chris Larson. He's, I think it's safe to say he should have this one in the bag now. Just blue flag cars to get past, and as long as he takes his time and is patient with them, then I think he'll have this one in the bag.
Yeah, Dog Juice Jackson there, just letting him by through Clark Curve. As we've got a little gaggle here. Marcus Hagel just catching on Ollie Knowles, running in 32nd, and Watts, who I think is in 35th.
Watts is in
Ollie Knowles.
7th, Hagel's in 8th. So those two are battling, but have blue flag cars to kind of get through. I noticed they were closing up, but that must have been because Watts was passing Ollie Knowles at the time. But
Yeah, I think. So I'm just looking at the. Oh, Hagel going off the track a little bit. I'm just trying to work out because it puts a little number in brackets next to their name, doesn't it?
I think that is ping.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
was
to do with
thinking
a
that was
connection.
yeah, I was thinking that was their car number or a position for a moment, which is why I said sort of Dan Watts is down in 35th, which he isn't. That was just his ping.
Yeah, because Vest, our American driver, as we say, is 137th. So
Yeah, slightly higher ping. It's I think it's an Irish-based server.
yeah, you're right. It's Dublin based. So, but we seem to have pretty stable. Got one of our drivers. He races from Hawaii. Self-proclaimed fastest sim racer in Hawaii. That is Nick Fuji, and he can race with us. You can go side by side with him, no problem. So it's not too bad. It seems to be wherever you are in the world, you will race cleanly. We'll check in on these guys are kind of close in a battle, but Vesta's just in the back. He's about half a second. Check in on Ben Brown, see how he's getting on in the Nissan.
Well, in the Primera Inspired livery, he's running 24th. He's behind the leaders of the AM class. As he takes a little bit of grass there, and he's got Ollie Knowles behind him, although Ollie Knowles is in 32nd and say a lap or more down, but it looks like he wants to unlap himself. Ben's just going to let that happen as Ben was clipping the grass a bit there. I think Ben's competitive edge has gone for tonight and he just wants to finish this race as Van Wingerten's flashing his lights. What's happened there with John Earl? Have they made contact? This is going into Surtees Bend onto the Grand Prix section of the circuit. Maybe he just feels John Earl pushed him very wide there. Yeah, he feels a bit pushed out wide, and always you have to leave the space.
Yeah, all the time you have to leave the space, as a wise man once said.
Absolutely.
We've got a few battles on track. This is the closest. Ralph Vest, John Cheal, Matt Wilmot, within a second of each other. Shahabi's closing up in the back of Daniel Lindblom after his kind of issues at the start of the race as well. And the battle between Hagel and Watts is still ongoing, although they have kind of spaced out a little bit more.
Yeah, it's great. It's battles up and down the grid, and say everyone going for their personal victories, whether it's getting through a race with no incident points, no penalties, finishing the race higher than they started it, and of course you have AM class winners, the silver class winners, and Jonathan Seville.
Yeah, it is a little bit like that. I know, obviously Jordan Watson was pushing him. It's a shame that he's now down in 10th after a couple incidents. It would have been good to see them battle, because I think, although I feel like team orders might have been a little bit in play at the start, but it would have been good to see them kind of properly battling once they could unleash themselves. Unless it was the case, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Seville if he was just holding Jordan Watson behind him, which is obviously entirely possible. I don't want to take anything away from him. But
going up the inside of Lindblom at Paddock Hill Bend. Later, the last of the late breakers gets that job done. well before Druids. A nice overtake there from Alex Harvey. That puts him up to 14th position. That pushes Lindblom down to 15th. Here's Marcus Hagel somewhere in the dark. And he's chasing down Dan Watts. That's a battle for 7th place as the timer ticks down to almost 2 minutes left. So there's only a couple more laps of this race remaining. 40 laps completed so far. It's still Jonathan Seville lead. Oh, what has... Every time I look at the driver ladder or look at notes, something happens. But Hagel still chasing Dan Watts. I wonder if we can get a replay of what happened there exactly.
Yeah, we will do. It was there was a car in the middle of the track as they came round the corner, and it looks like Watts has. I think Watts did actually hit them. Just see if I can find. I know Toby Lewin was involved in it, so we'll have a look and see if we can catch what happened.
Oh no, he's just as innocent. And there's a Lexus sort of sitting across the track, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And Lexus is trying to figure out who is in a Lexus. That's
So the Lexus, Damien Hirst.
so
Who's
is he the only Lexus runner?
He is the only Lexus, and he's currently off track again. I'm not sure if the damage is. He's tried to carry on. The damage is a little bit worse than what he thought. But I can see the yellow flag. I think he's limping it home. Although he would have been past the pit lane where he was, wouldn't he?
Well, I thought he was just at the... Because here, no, you're at the entrance for the pit lane, so he could have got it back in, but I suppose depending on how he had to rejoin without hitting people. Marcus Hagel's still attacking Dan Watts, whatever damage they might have picked up from that incident. They're still pushing very hard. Hagel's just trying a slightly different line, see if he can get past Dan Watts, and no doubt Jordan Watson and Matt High will be catching these two. Matt High says he's quite a bit behind. I don't think he's going to make an impression, but the leader is just going through now, starting the last lap as there's 10 seconds left on the clock. And as I say that, it ticks down to 0. So Jonathan Seville is now on the final lap. Chris Larson in second and Sigurd Revzik in third. Henry Handy going for a move around the outside of Lindblom. No, he's going to duck under and try and get the old switcheroo. But it doesn't look like it's come off. He's still attacking into Druids. This is a battle for 15th and 16th place. And here's Marcus Hagel still pushing Watts hard for that 7th position. As the leader just comes through Surtees. He's just heading uphill and then downhill. The Pilgrims drop on the final lap. Handy's going to try and still attacking into Surtees. Doesn't look like he might get a good run now because the Porsche has a weaker top end speed. Jonathan Seville just coming through Westfield and Dingle Dell as Handy's gonna get the move done down the straight even before they get to the corner. Dan Watts has lost that place to Marcus Hagel.
Just see if we can see how coming into the last corner, Hagel's managed to go round the outside. Great move from there, and I can't help but think that Watts' damage is slightly hampering him a little bit here.
We better get back to Jonathan Seville now because he's going to be exiting the final corner. He is running along the pit wall. He sees the checkered flag, and that is another victory for Jonathan Seville at Brands Hatch. 2 wins in 2 days. He won it yesterday at the Transatlantic Cup, and he's done it again in the British GT 2023 Championship. Here is your runner-up in second place, Christopher Larson of the USA in the Honda NSX. Will take the checkered flag for second, just following Van Oosen in there. And from Norway, Sigurd Revzik for RTO, round the outside racing team, takes the final podium spot. Third place in the BMW, 3 different manufacturers on each step of the podium. Ralph Vest in 23rd, he's going to be finishing the race, it looks like, in 23rd. He's not going to finish the final lap. He has been lapped already. Let's just check who 4th, 5th and 6th.
So fourth, Miles Dixon.
And Marquez very happy with his 5th place as Hearn follows just a second behind. Marcus Hagel gets that 7th with Dan Watts losing out at the end there. to a fantastic round the outside manoeuvre. Matt High finishing 9th and recovering to 10th place with the fastest lap, Jordan Watson.
Yeah, fastest lap, the 23.2 that we saw kind of early on. He definitely would have had the pace to be at the front, but unfortunately had that kind of instant. But we will jump on to and have a look at the highlights. I'll get them on. But yeah,
So,
good race. Battles all the way down, wasn't there?
yeah, it's a Brands Hatch small circuit. Only takes them a minute 20 to get round, really. So, within a dozen laps, they were starting to lap each other and then tripping over each other. But Jonathan Seville made it again, made it look so easy from pole position to the victory. Here's highlights of the race starts. Steve, I'll let you take us through it.
Yeah, so the race start, it was very clean as well, with no yellow flags through Paddock Hill. I think we got about halfway through the lap before we got a yellow flag. That's not to say there wasn't some kind of bumping and banging, but really good to see everyone getting through cleanly for a start. With 43 cars starting, which is one of the biggest grids I've seen for a while. And we'll hopefully keep this grids up for the rest of the season. But yeah, decent start. We're focusing on the Valentino Rossi car, the 46. You've maybe got the name.
Yeah, ooh, it's Aston Martin going off there. They managed to collect it up, but they were losing all the positions as they had to try and safely rejoin.
That is the worst thing about if you have anything on the first lap or you late break, you go run off the track or anything, then yeah, you lose so many positions because you just can't get back on. It's so tough. But jumping into the chat, obviously folk have finished the race, they're kind of joining in with us. Dave Selecki saying he put worn tyres on after his RTG. That's not the strategy, I wouldn't have said. WVO saying P9 to P5 could have been up to P3 if there was no damage. That was obviously in class, which is a pretty good drive back.
Chris
Chris,
Larson from
yeah,
P8 to P2.
yeah, really good drive from him as well. Obviously, we said we were he might not have been too happy with his position, so really good to see. And Matt High as well, which he finished really well up in. He finished in 9th. He's
Yeah, he had a
saying
great
my
race.
hands hurt.
Heike van der Veen, not the happiest soul out there this evening. Yeah, I don't think he was happy with his classification in silver, and just maybe felt absolutely overwhelmed. I hope he has, I hope he can always come back in round two. It's several more rounds yet to go. And say it's only round one. There's a lot more racing to be done, and you can always make a comeback and get some results on the board, Hiker.
And talking of round two, do you know where we are for round two?
I
You
absolutely
you can
do.
say no if you don't.
No, I do. So round two is at Alton Park. So if you like twisty little British tracks, you'll love that. And then, so that's on the 29th of January, 7 p.m. Or say we'll go live actually 8 p.m. Round three is at the Nürburgring. That is a 90-minute race on Sunday, the 5th of February. And then we're back in the UK for round four at Donington Park. That's on the 12th of February. On the 19th of February, we're at Snetterton for round five. And then the season finishes off on the 26th of February at Silverstone for a 90-minuter.
So I think one thing that we might have missed, and I'm hoping that all the drivers that I've got on my list are still the drivers, because I know if some people leave the server early after the race is finished, that they can disappear. But it looks like we had, well, obviously we know Johnny Seville won Pro with Chris Larson and Refsik in third. In silver, it looks like we had Alexander Ortegren and Peter Jelinek in third with Henry Handy. Peter Jelinek in second with Henry Handy in third. With that kind of overtake right at the end to get that. And then I'm pretty sure these are different, but I've got Matt Wilmot, and then, but I think Chiel might have been in front of him. I'll be able to check in a minute to see what the AM results were, but
Yeah, it's tricky without the driver ladder, and say we were covering the top 10, and then sort of graphic changed before we got a chance to go through the Silver as well as the pros. But it's a great driving from everyone out there tonight. I'm trying to view on Twitch, but it doesn't actually let you. When Twitch is live, you're just watching live. You can't actually watch what happened 10 minutes ago. There is no timeline slider.
yeah, I don't know if anyone who could jump back into the replay and jump into the commentary booth with us would be able to let us know while we're watching the highlights, because they will get the replay until SGP finishes the race. So if there is anyone who was in the championship that wants to jump in, Ben, etc., then feel free to. It's a long highlights reel. There was a lot going on in this race.
It is. So we're only up to lap 11. Wondering it's worth if you just load up the replay of the race and check the results. Don't think anybody will mind.
We'll have
and there's Jordan Watson's. Yeah, he'll love to see that. Jordan Watson's calamity as he was lapping traffic.
Yeah, so let's have a look, and we'll get we shall get all the finishing positions up, because we are aware that we missed the arms. That's the problem when you have a longer race and everyone kind of gets mixed in. You can end up missing when they're crossing the line. So
yeah, because if they've been lapped, they'll cross the line before somebody in 19th can have their race technically finished before somebody in 5th. So you were right, yeah. I'll let you announce it. I'll let you announce it since you were right.
I will just have to jump back onto this screen. That's annoying, that didn't show. But yeah, so as we know, Johnny Seville, Chris Larson, and Refsick 1, 2, and 3 in Pro. Then in Silver, we had Alex Artigran taking the win from Peter Jelinek by 4 seconds, and then Henry Handy with that kind of last minute overtake on Daniel Lindblom to take the last podium position in Silver. And then we have Matt Wilmot winning the AMS, taking it from John Cheal and Ralph Fest. And those three, I mean, look at how close that is for the podium in AMS. 1.3 seconds between the lot of them.
Fantastic.
Yeah, just great to see. But 42 finishers, I think 43 starters. I don't know if we had someone drop out with a technical issue or anything. We obviously saw Zach Finney. In fact, it might be him, because I don't see him in the... we saw him pull over. Yeah, so that's good to see everyone finishing, bar Zach. We saw that he definitely had a sort of a failure with hardware or something along that lines. Yeah, really good to see everyone just sticking it out, getting it done, and yeah, we'll look to go to Alton Park next and continue the battle.
Yep, so we will see you all next week, same time on the 29th of January, Sunday, for round 2 at Alton Park. I've been Cammy Sturge, he's been Stephen Bain, and it's just up to us now to say goodnight to you all. So, Stephen?
Yeah, good night all, and we'll see you tomorrow for some more action.
See you then.
Bye.